Good evening. Thanks very much, members. Looks like we've got full attendance. It's Annan Common Good Fund Subcommittee. It's Wednesday, 20th November, and it's 6 p.m. G's gone. So, first item of the business tonight is setting apologies and chair's approval of members' remote participation. I'll do that now. So that's done. So I think it's for yourself. Is it Jamie or Amanda? Just let me find my notes. Amanda, thank you. It's over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Good evening, members. We've got 6 members present this evening. In the Council Hall, we have Councillor Ian Carruthers, the Chair. We have Councillor Brodie. We have our 2 Community Council reps, Alan Kay and Alan Weald. And on Teams, we have Councillors Jamieson and Marshall. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that. Much appreciated. Members, minute of the previous meeting, 21st August, is for noting. It's been approved at full council. The committee, whatever the two, I forget what one it was. I think it was actually full council. Item number 4 is Annan Common Good Fund Assets Report by
Chair.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, you've missed out declarations of interest. I've got a declaration of interest.
So I have, thank you. And we might have another one here too. Thanks for that, Sean. Sean, I'll take your declaration first.
Yeah, my declaration of interest is on item 6. It's Annan Common Good. It's the applications. There's 2 applications. The first application is from Annan Play Park Steering Group, and I'm the chairman of that. So I would leave the meeting for the determination of that application. But if I could leave, and then if someone can let me know, I could come back in for determination of the second application, which is Annan Bowling Club.
Thank you, Sean. We'll do that.
Can I register my interest in the fact that I'm on the committee of Annan Bowling Club, and they have submitted an application to the Common Good Fund for funding.
And it's up to yourself. When we get to that point in time, obviously we've noted that as a declaration of interest, and if you want to stay or leave, it's up to yourself. I'll come back to it at that point.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, members. Any other members got any declarations of interest? Don't think so. Richard doesn't. I haven't. Oh, there we go, thank you. And George hasn't come up with anything. So I think don't have to go back to item 3. It's for noting only. Item number 4 is the Annan Common Good Funds Asset Report. Head of 5M. Members have been asked to note the register at Annan Common Good. Let's just get my notes actually. To provide members with an update on the current register of Annan Common Good assets, their asset values, and any any issues related to Annan Common Good assets. Jamie Nixon is here to take any questions or speak to the report if she wishes. Jamie, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. If you don't mind, members, I would like to provide a bit of an update, please. We have been approached by Annan History Group with regards to a piece of land on Battery Street. Members may be aware that they're in the realms of doing a public art piece. So they approached us as a council to ask if there was a piece of land on Battery Street that they would be able to place this public art once it was up and established. That has since, from making inquiries, we've established that that now is actually a common good piece of land. We've got confirmation of that today. So what the History Town are asking is if we agree in principle for them to continue with their investigatory works of using that as their preferred site. And obviously I would come back with a fuller report with regards to the entire project, any deeds or any provisions that are associated with that site in principle.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Jamie. So just on that particular subject matter, I'll put it over to Councillor Brodie. Spoke to me earlier in regards to that, but I think we've always got a part of an update in regards to we know who the land is and such like, but Jamie's updated beyond that what we maybe should do. But over to you, Richard.
Yeah, I didn't have a declaration of interest until that moment. Now we've got an urgent item that I'll have a statement of connection with Annan History Town, so a member of that group, but quite happy to go with their proposal. But if we're discussing it now, Chairman?
Excellent. If we're comfortable enough, probably just, we could incorporate it into this under the assets if we wish, and what we'd be doing when we get 2.4, I suppose, we'd be asking for a further report which would outline what Jamie's just updated us on in regards to the future provision of, I think we'll get to that point in time, we'll go through the provision of the asset being on there, who looks after it, what the implications are, I suppose size, scale, we'd want to see all that kind of stuff. So, George, your screen's on, is that because you want to come in, Councillor Jimison? No?
No, I'm happy with that.
Oh no, okay, fine then. So obviously at 2.1 we've been asked to note, 2.2 we've been asked to note as well. The request appeals to John Bell, Plainfield 4.5. Jamie, is there anything you want to? Then we'll go back to that, I think.
Yes, thank you, Chair. With regards to the John Bell's Plainfield, members will also be aware that in the recent weeks that we have had some complaints regarding antisocial behaviour, both within the car park and on the field, from a resident that lives close to the field. They have requested that the gates to be locked. Members will also be aware that in previous times when the car park was first reinstated, that the gates were locked on a daily provision from, and this task was undertaken by the janitorial staff from both Heckleguth Primary and Annan Academy. Unfortunately, for the last 2 years or so, that has not happened, and for a variety of reasons. I've had substantial talks since the first complaint with education, our neighbourhood services, community assets team and our cleaning and janitorial team, all who have indicated that the reasons this no longer gets done on a daily basis is we do not have the staff to be able to maintain that. The reasons we do not have the staff is that the staffing complements have halved at Annan Academy, the staffing hours have changed as well, and Heckleguth, unfortunately, their janitorial coverage finishes at 1 PM on a daily basis. So we haven't been able to reinstate the former locking and opening of the gate, but we have had significant correspondence from the residents that showing some great concerns with regards to the ongoing antisocial behaviour in this area. I have contacted Police Scotland. I've also contacted our community safety team with regards to up-and patrols. Police Scotland were going to produce a report for me for this evening so I could give it verbally and then attach at a later date with regards to the amount of times that they had been called, but unfortunately, due to the operational pressures that they've had this week, we've not managed to get that. But that is definitely something that is still on their radar, and they will continue to monitor that for us. We have been contacted again today by the resident who would like to see us reinstate the opening and closing of that facility, but we no longer are the same circumstances. We now have a wraparound care for the nursery provision at Heckleguth Primary School. So it's not any provision. Previously, the closure was 4:15. This would now have to be extended to 6 PM on an evening, which causes us more concerns with regards to being able to get anybody to close that facility for us. Unfortunately, we haven't even explored the cleaning staff at Heckleguth because they would finish at that time. But there is significant health and safety concerns with regards to how dark that area is. I'm not asking a member of staff to actually, we're asking them to come out of a back entrance instead of the main entrance of the school. So the counter side of that is the Heckleguth PTA have also wrote to members, which I've received this week, expressing their concerns if that area was locked and locked permanently, the safety aspects to their children. You'd only have to look in there on a morning and an evening. There is roughly between 50 and 70 cars parked there between 3 and 3:30, picking up and throughout the day. And I know certain members have also had constituents contact them because we did lock it temporarily during the October holidays, and members have been contacted with regards to and people from Annan actually wanting that area to remain open. So, not an easy one, but I'll hand it over to members to have that discussion.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Jamie, for that update. That's much appreciated, and it really does paint a wider picture. It looks like Sean's hands up. If it is Sean, I'll just a couple of words, then you just come in after me, I think. But I am going to ask Councillor Alan Whale to come in as too, because I know there was a particular, I understand it is, anyways, there was a member of the public that came along to the last community council to discuss this particular matter. So I think in two parts we've been asked to note the request for repairs. So we're talking about we've got to deal with two parts of things. So turn this into a clear-cut decision. So how do we get round about the potholes and such like, get that repaired, the red hatchings, markings, so on and so forth. So it's fit for purpose, and everybody who uses that safe, particularly about the parents, children, so on and so forth, because you've got that vehicular and pedestrian conflict traffic there, which we want to, I would imagine anyways, I would certainly promote that we keep that ongoing. It's good for the schools, good for the community, but we'll make it safe for them. How do we do that? Through that and common good. And the other point is there's a level of antisocial behaviour, I think is what Jamie's saying, is what I picked up through other conversations, a level of antisocial behaviour going on a night time, because it's been left open, it isn't being shut, the gates are being closed. My own thoughts are, let's have a further report to the next meeting, inviting the police here, because there's always antisocial behaviour. Other departments of the council that might be appropriate to invite, we can leave that. I'm thinking of some of the community resilience team, that type of thing, or safety team, sorry. So it just, for me, it's about getting a report, come back, but get the relevant people round the table, so we can make a decision in regards to how we better maintain it, or we'll bring it back up to being fit for purpose. And with that wraparound care coming in, so it's not like the school times opening, if my understands correctly, as Jamie's outlined, the out of school nursery care stroke preschool care extending out to the back of 6 o'clock to allow parents to work a longer, fuller shift with that wraparound service. So taking all that into consideration, that's my initial thoughts. Sean, I can bring you in, and then obviously what Councillor Annan will be speaking on this too, please. Sean, if you're next, I think.
Yeah, just based on the report and the additional information that's been provided by the ward officer, I don't think we can make, probably, as you've kind of rightly outlined, I don't think we can make a clear-cut decision tonight, but I'm a bit reluctant to leave it until the next meeting of the Common Good, because there's obviously an issue here. If you remember, as members of the Annan Common Good, the reason why the car park has been made available is to ease traffic concerns and safety concerns on that road, particularly at Hecklegurth, but also is a facility, or the car park is being used by Annan Academy as well. So we've agreed to do that over the last few years, and really to benefit the education department. We have had recent complaints about antisocial behaviour from residents, but we've had them on an ongoing basis. We did have an arrangement in place, and that seemed to work well. But, you know, for the reasons that outlined at the moment, that cannot be honoured. I do think, though, that because it's mainly from an educational aspect, and I can understand, you know, Jamie's outlined with regards to the janitorial services and also the wraparound care, and, you know, it probably would not be suitable for a cleaner to kind of lock that. But I wouldn't want to leave it until the next Common Good meeting, because we've opened this facility for that use, but at the same time, there doesn't seem to be any responsibility now attached to actually closing it out with the hours that's required. So I would suggest, if possible, though, and, you know, we need to meet with probably a representative from the education department and the police, and also the, you know, the Annan Common Good members, and the, you know, that's the community council representatives. And I'm quite prepared to get a meeting arranged out with the Annan Common Good to discuss this, to see if we can find a solution. I believe that the solution should lie at the door of education, and we need to explore further the need for the additional hours under the wraparound care, and just to fully understand that. So that would be my kind of slight amendment to your suggestion, Chair, that I do think that we should maybe have a meeting out with the Annan Common Good and meet with all the parties concerned, and that, if that's with the parent council, etc. as well. But I do think we need to get a solution, and that would involve the police and mainly the education representatives.
No, I think your input's valuable, Sean. All you're saying really is, let's make a decision that can be implemented and get the problem sorted out sooner rather than later. Fair enough, I think it's February for the next Common Good. I just asked Jamie as you were talking, because ultimately the delegation for this comes through here. The committee goes to the committee then sets up the Common Good as a subcommittee. So we could look at this through the area committee next week, be an emergency report. We could ask for here to be reported there. But Sean, I think you're talking more about. So we'll come back to this. I'm only relaying my thoughts. We'll come back to this when we get to the recommendations. But you're saying let's take an operational view. I think is what you're saying. Let's get involved, get the sleeves rolled up. Let's get people around the table and make this happen. So long as we're compliant, Sean, I think with it, the important thing I think we have to grasp is that if we use that method, which I'm fine with, I'm absolutely fine, we'd support that, but it's that we can make it happen. We've got that level of authority through this committee. If not, what other avenues would have to get that? If we've got that knowledge here, then fair enough. We'll ask that, so that gives our officials a chance to reflect on what I'm saying too, Sean. But I think you want to come back in before I let Councillor Wheeldon.
Yeah, I know there's area committee next week, but I think we probably would have a more productive dialogue if we got everyone round the table, first of all, to discuss all the options and see if there's a way forward and a solution. At the moment, we've got two conflict, there's an absolute need for the car park to be opened, but because it's not being locked, we've got residents, being disturbed by, being used for antisocial behaviour out with those hours. So I think it would be more productive if we had a get together out with that, and then any recommendation could come back, but it might be that we can implement the measures before it comes to the next common good.
No, thanks for that, Sean. So we'll come back to your points when we get to the end, the recommendations in particular, and get your views. But what I'm picking up loud and clear for Jamie, within the meeting and out with it, she's been round the houses on a number of occasions, whether it's property, whether it's a janitorial with education, whether it's the LLN and childcare. It's been, and local residents for that matter, she's been round all the houses, but let's have that discussion. But I think your view in regards to get the sleeves rolled up and getting on with it is the right way to go ahead. So Councillor Alan Weald. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, Chair, thanks. The resident has contacted us several times, email through Annan online. He attended our last meeting. He's quite concerned. He thinks it'll be swept under the carpet because he feels he isn't getting anything back council-wise, and I assured him that it definitely wouldn't be. His concern, I think seasonally fireworks, and I'd like to think it would tail off, but he's going on, there's times on the notice board, and that's one of his big 4:15 or something like that should be shut. So he says because it says on the board, it should be shut then. So whether that needs updated, I don't know. But his other gripe is he wants to look at the possibility of bollard. The path that goes past Hecklegirth and into Annan Academy. He says there's vehicles coming up there. So if he shut the John Bell gate, they could come up from the Academy side. He says it's just an absolute nightmare. I spoke to him and he's quite willing to trial maybe weekend shutting instead of every night to see how it goes. He said there is a group that maybe take keys if that's possible, feasible from the common good side, just to try it if you've got nothing on. But hopefully we'll get something sorted out for him.
No, thanks very much for that. So, Jamie, then it's Councillor Jimison, then Brodie. Yep, thank you.
Just with the correspondence I actually received from the resident today, he did indicate that there was potentially residents that would maybe be willing to assist with regards to the locking of the gate and sometimes opening. That wasn't indicated whether it was a daily or a weekend. We thought weekends potentially, obviously discussions that we've had between members, weekends might have been an easier option. But yes, he has highlighted that. Just going back to regards to the signage, the car park has been in place 20 plus years. So obviously that at that time school did close, and obviously we know with the 1100 hours for the nursery that has changed. Members are fully aware as well, because they've actually assisted Hecklegirth PTA of the concerns that they have of moving any transport or cars down the lane into the school car park, because we've had 2 incidents since the return of school in October there where an ambulance was called and they couldn't access. So they have now implemented pop-up berms to stop parents accessing. So their concern is that they are pushing everybody to use the John Bell's car park, and there would be a conflict or a misunderstanding if they were saying that sometimes they use John Bell's and then sometimes they use the school park. So they're quite clear that they would like all of the parents to park in the John Bells and walk through that area.
Oh, thanks so much for that, Jamie. Okay with that, Alan? Right, we'll come back to the recommendations for any further comments. Councillor Jimison, then Brodie. George?
Just a wee point of clarification. The first thing I'd like to is the general feeling that the gate should be locked for the evenings, weekends, holidays, etc., or is there a body of opinion that folk would prefer it to be left open? That when Jimmy mentioned that people complained when it was shut over the October holidays, what are the rights and wrongs of it? Is there a body of the community that want it open all the time, regardless of whether we think it's a good thing or a bad thing? That just directed at Jamie. He mentioned about the October holidays.
Thank you, Councillor Jameson. So obviously when the resident contacted me over the October holidays, I actually took the initiative to go up and lock the gate, because obviously the signage on there does state that it will be locked. Councillor Brodie then received emails from residents to ask why it was locked, because they used it on a daily basis to park their cars, walk their dogs. So that there is both sides of the argument, basically, yes. But further
Okay,
consultation,
no,
what could be done to establish?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, totally agree with you. I mean, I think probably the needs of parents and children would come first, but we'll have to understand the alternative views. So that would be the first thing. Should the gate be locked or not locked? And then the second part of the puzzle is, if it is to be locked, who does it? Who takes that responsibility? Because it would have to be some responsible person that we could be assured would do it correctly.
Thank you. Thanks for those comments, George, as well. Councillor Brodie, Richard?
Thanks, Chair. I think we've got to remember that the John Bell playing field is for the good of the whole of the people of Annan, not just the school. It seems to be just focusing on the school. And there's always two sides to the story. One, we've got complaints of residents about antisocial behaviour, and which is the responsibility of Police Scotland, and they should, if we stop that problem, if we close the gates, then they're going to take their boy racers or girl racers are going to go up to another part of the time. It used to be at the Port Street at the harbour, and we did a lot of work there to move them up, to control that by CCTV. And as Jamie said, when we did lock it, then there was complaint from a person who usually parks there so you can walk the dog in a responsible manner, because there's not a lot of parking around Hecklegirth where you can, if you park on Hecklegirth itself, then it obstructs traffic as well, so you really can't win. So, but I see their point, because there's not just one resident that uses that. There's quite a few people park there, and it's quite often at the weekend. So there's no ideal solution, but if we involve the police and community council, etc., then we can maybe reach the best solution.
No, thanks so much for those comments as well, Richard. So getting to the recommendation, the decision that we're looking to make. Sean, you want to come in first? Sean?
Yeah, it was just the additional information that if there is residents that use that over the weekend or out with school hours, then the issue kind of is slightly different, because it's providing not only a service to the school but to people of Annan. So the only issue that we would need to resolve would be the antisocial behaviour. So that may be that we speak to the police first, as suggested, because at the end of the day, the residents are only concerned about the antisocial behaviour that's going on there. If there was to be no antisocial behaviour, then there'd be no reason for us to lock and go through all the kind of, or try and resolve an issue that could be fixed quite simply by the police being more proactive, and if there is any disturbance or any antisocial use there, that the police act on that. So based on that additional information, then it might be that the first course of action is, notwithstanding the repairs, because I think we need to do those because it is well used, but the fact that it's not just used by the schools and the parents, etc., and the staff, but it's also used by residents of Annan, then it might be that we try a two-stage process, and that will allow us to have a report back to the next common good. But I think we should speak to the police, and we can maybe raise that at the area committee next week, or we can do that in the most appropriate manner, and see how that progresses.
Well, thanks, Sean. I suppose that's why I kind of suggested potentially. So to me, we've got a couple of things here. First thing is which is maybe not the most important, you've just alluded to, is the maintenance of the ground itself, for the sake of car park, potholes, linings, hatches, so on and so forth. Bring that up to fit for purpose. That probably merits itself, because we've got procurement standing orders we have to adhere to. We have to go through all that process, so that probably merits itself. That part of it sitting in line with a fresh report coming to the next common good. But the second part really is what George just picked up on, and others have not, but it just, and Richard, it's a bit predominant. In fact, Alan too, everybody's mentioned it, it's the antisocial behaviour part, and that's why I certainly mentioned police. I wrote down CCTV as well, but Richard covered that in his statement. So we've got a number of aspects that we could, or ways in which we could address this problem, but I think you're right, Sean, as far as right, how do we get the sleeves rolled up and get on with this, get operational to a point and just get interactive? I think the first step is, let's talk to the police. So whether that's at the area committee or Jamie as a ward officer to organise a meeting with, I would say, the members of the common good, and which includes the community council obviously, that we have ideally a physical but a virtual meeting potentially even, just to discuss what's going on there from an operational point for the Police Scotland. What can they do? How can they help to address that? That's why I spoke about the community resilience team, or and so on and so forth. What assets or resources are there for the council, what they can potentially apply here to alleviate the concerns of the local residents in that area. Because going back to what Alan was saying, was it's antisocial behaviour, by the way, of driving and fireworks potentially. So in odd hours, different hours, that's where people are concerned. So if in the first instance, I wonder, Sean, if we could take an action. I prefer things to be explicit within the actual recommendations. We're clear-cut make a decision, but there's maybe two parts to this. And firstly, we take an action, which will be part of the minute. I would ask is that for Jamie as a ward officer to set up a meeting with members of the Common Good, along with Police Scotland and any community enforcement resilient teams, so on and so forth. So we discuss. Richard mentioned CCTV. I mean, that's maybe better coming back in a further report we would invest in. So after that, we'd be asking for a report. We'll come back to the recommendations, I think, and maybe putting in a 2.4 that would request, because we request, we've been asked to note the request for repairs to John Bale, but actually either that we turn 2.2 into an actual, we agree for a further report to come back on and options for the repairs to be carried out, along with any potential looking at the safety aspects, but we have to address, and Sean, you've been talking about the education department, let's see where we get with that. Like say, Jamie's been around the houses with us, to say the least, but how do we address the opening and the closing? But I think that in the short term, it could be part of that conversation, even that we have part of the action, that because we're talking in the short term, what do quick a local residents got, but a simple, straightforward option, isn't it? We talk to them and we put some system in place that works for them and the local residents, without going back what Richard's touched on others. It is actually, we didn't restrict, if somebody's going to park their dog there, then park their car there and they carry on and say on a Saturday afternoon and they want to walk down to the shore or whatever it is, take their dog a walk, recreational physical activity. We don't know what to stop that either, because it's our interest, our decision making has got to be based around about what's in the best interest of the inhabitants of the Royal Borough of Annan, not just a particular street. So I think, I don't know if you can capture that. So we've got actions there, I think, Jamie, but also maybe Amanda too. I don't know if you want to both put your heads around, but so we've got actions there, and we've got, when we get to recommendations, maybe change it from note to we agree to a further report in 2.2. Jamie.
Thank you, Chair. I think what I've took is an action to bring back a future report with regards to the repairs and maintenance. So you would like full cost? No.
So I think the action is roundabout which Sean said, listen, we need to get on with this early doors and speak to the police and so on and so forth. So we'll have an action round about that. So we'll set up a meeting.
Yep.
Even if it's in the next week, even better, if we can do that. So we can get on with that straight away. But I think when we get to 2.2, we'll agree for a further report. I think maybe that's what you're talking about.
So the action will be to set up the report with the relevant stakeholders, one being Police Scotland, Community Safety Team and Education. Right. The second will be to agree a future report with regards to the repairs and maintenance of the potholes on site, so we keep them separate, but with the option of potentially looking at CCTV, which would be incorporated into the repairs and maintenance costing.
Yeah. Because
We'll have the cost of the road repairs.
You might, guy. I think Richard's saying, what was that, the cost of the repairs, Richard?
Oh, just saying, should have put the microphone on to say that costs for the road repairs is for the next meeting.
So if we can agree to 2 points, so if we can agree to an action, Sean's wanting back in, but Sean, I'll let you come in, but I think if we can agree to that action, go on then.
Yeah, you're almost there, and I think Jamie's kind of captured most of it, but instead of just CCTV, it would be security enhancements, and that will be on the basis of our discussions at the meeting with the police, etc. So it might be CCTV, it might also be additional patrols, etc. and that, but we can include it as enhanced security measures, because obviously that would be helpful, and then maybe the education part can help with that, with their current CCTV at the schools. So it's something that for discussion, and then we can agree that when we get the further report back. So it'll be on the road repairs, costings, etc. But it'll also be about security improvements to that area.
Thanks, Sean. Apologies, George. I didn't have my glasses on. Didn't see your hand was up. So you're next.
No worry, but if we're having a future meeting, it might be helpful. I think it would be helpful to hear the local community, because the chap that came to the community council was, he was quite concerned, angry about that, the social behaviours, and also maybe the parent council. That these are the key stakeholders that we need to involve to try and get to the bottom of it. On CCTV, I've already had correspondence from Newton School, who have no CCTV, and I've spoken to the land boss about this. It's not cheap and it has to be manned, so we need to probably be aware of that as well.
No, thanks very much. So, Richard, then we'll get to recommendations. Thank you.
Yeah, on the CCTV, the community safety team used to have a roving sort of camera that they could set up to observe anti-social behaviour, like dog filling as well, and anti-litter and fly tipping. I don't know if that system's still available that we could set up on a temporary basis. I don't know.
No, so I think there's a number. I know working on sites, you have wireless, you do it through the 4G, 5G networks, wireless CCTV security system in place too, as well as covert. I think it was cameras is what Councillor Brody is alluding to. But again, that'll come back in the report, in the information. Though, there's the options. This is what potentially available, and this is I think this is how much it'll cost. Again, if the Annan Common Good Fund, let's just put your hand in your pocket, I think it'll be asking us to invest in this particular thing. But so if we're getting into action, 2.2, we're agreeing to a report coming back. I think it's what Jamie's captured that, a report coming back outlining our options. We've been through them a number of times. Yep, and 2.3 is note the concerns raised in the paragraph, which was in 4.6, which we've discussed in great detail. Members, if we've got actions, we've got meetings coming on the back of them, take into consideration, try to address the problems that we've heard with the Community Council, and obviously been relayed here tonight again. It's in the report and from Jamie herself, other elected members too. If we've got captured all of that, we're happy with that, I think that's us covered. Yep, excellent. Spot on. Item number. Oh, Richard?
Did you want to take the public art piece just now at the end of this or later on?
I think you're at any other competent business. You want to do it there? Yeah. No, so we'll pick it up in any other competent business, which is another item. George?
Ian, before I move on, the appendix on the Register of Common Good Assets is just a wee query.
No problem, George.
It's still in this. It's just a very quick query. The Everhome Pavilion and Child Play area, what does that include, because it's quite a substantial value, is that the grounds as well as the unused pavilion and the child play area?
Jamie, sorry. Yep.
So the Everhome Pavilion is the actual pavilion that sits within the wall, the parameters. So the common good parameters of that area is the inside of the wall that incorporates the Motte and Bailey, the Everhome, the play area, and what was the old park area, and the pathway that goes directly around that. So it's the internal section of the wall.
No. Yeah, understand. It's 1.25 million, is that, am I correct reading?
Yes.
Yeah. It seems a lot, but it's obviously valued by the appropriate people, so that's fine, that clarifies that for me. Thank you.
No, thanks very much for that, George. Any members got any, just before we move on, just to be absolutely sure, sorry for missing you there, George. So we've agreed recommendations. Any other points of clarity? Nope. Excellent, thank you. Item number 5. Remember, this report is to provide members with an overview of performance against the financial plan for the period ending 30 September 24, quarter 1 for Annan Common Good. Jamie, anything you would like to add?
Nothing further to add to the report, Chair, but happy to take any questions.
We'll open it up for members' debate, discussion, questions, comments, whatever they wish. If not, we've been asked to note at 2.1 the 2024 should say 25 monitoring report for the period ending 30 September as per the appendix. 2.2 is to note the projected free income of £7,888 as outlined in paragraph 3.2 within the report, and 2.3 is to agree the amount to be allocated for the grants for 24-25 as per 4.2. Jamie, have you got any advice in regards to that one? So 2.3 is agree the amount to be allocated for grants 24-25 as outlined in paragraph 4.2.
Sorry, Chair. Obviously, just as an update, at the end of every financial year, we have been growing the cash balance of the Annan Common Good Fund. Members will have seen that we've had a significant increase since 2018. We usually use only the free income to administer for grant. So my question is, do members wish to continue with the free income that we have been doing in previous years, or would you like to allocate additional funds given that we have raised the cash balance over the years? Leave that to members.
Excellent, thanks Jamie. Members, any members got any thoughts in regards to that? If not, we'll leave it the way it is. Councillor Marshall?
Yeah, just leave it the way it is. I think if we just use the free income, and then, you know, if there was a requirement in future, we could review that again. But I would be happy with just using the free income.
That's consistent, John. I think with the approach we've took previously, it allows the balances to increase at a reasonable rate. It's in our interest, I think, to lift that. Okay, thanks very much, members. So if that's the case, Jamie, you'll capture that, and Amanda. Yep. So it'll stay the same, the free income only. Item number 6, to declarable interest. Sean, I think you've got to leave the meeting, but we're for the first item, but we're going to, you want to come in anyways to explain that. Should Councillor Marshall? Yeah, I'll leave the meeting to determine the first application, and whatever the easiest way. I don't know if ward officer just wants to message me that when to come back in. Excellent, do that, Sean. And remember, we will have any other competent business, so we'll definitely wait till you come back. Thank you. Yeah. That's Councillor Marshall left the meeting. So we've been asked, reason for the report is to consider the application for financial assistance from the Annan Common Good Fund subcommittee. So 2.1 is to note the agreed criteria in Appendix 1, but 2.2 is to consider the recommendations within Appendix 2 of the report, which is 2 applications for financial assistance. The first one being is from Annan Play Park Steering Group, but Jamie, do you want to speak to these? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So obviously our application for Annan Play Park Steering Group is for capital funds to repair equipment that has been vandalised from antisocial behaviour, and also to repair some of the other equipment that has had wear and tear. So the ongoing capital costs associated with the park.
Thank you. And the recommendation clearly is for the full amount being asked for. You want to come in?
Sorry, I was just going to come in just to
Alan?
say that if I can listen to this one and then I'll leave before the Annan Bowling Club one comes up. Is that okay?
Absolutely, that's absolutely fine. No, so obviously we've got the first one. You're welcome to your input as well if you want. If you've got any comments in regards to this one, support or otherwise. But certainly, I mean, I'd be keen to see it supported. It's been a good cause. It's been ongoing for a number of years. Councillor Brodie?
Yeah, I think it's a really good project, Annan Play Park, and it's worth the money. I think it'll be a good investment for our young people.
Thank you. Councillor Jimison?
Yeah, I'm totally in favour of it. My only comment is, the interactive boards, antisocial behaviour. Could it just happen again? Sadly, we could be putting money into something that's quite expensive and breaks. We could use the money. If that's too easy to damage, maybe we could use the money for something else. But I'm guided by Jamie. It's just a thought that we could put it up and it could be jiggered again within a day or two.
Jamie? Thanks, George.
I have been liaising with the committee, actually, Councillor Jimison, with regards to that concern. They also have that concern. What they are waiting on now from the company's the Play Park company is actual alternatives and costs for those. So they are actually looking at that for the reasons you've just highlighted. Yeah, so with that, I'm quite happy to go ahead with it. It is incredibly valuable, especially for that area of the town.
I suppose that message of vandal proof could be sent back along with the approval. But Alan?
That was my concern as well, and now that has been mentioned, I can leave the meeting because I'm happy with the way things are going. Okay.
No, thanks very much. So I think if we can approve that, that's good. But and Jamie's got to take the message back, which he has already, but from the committee itself, saying that if you can make that vandal proof, all the better. And that's a couple of councillors have brought that up. Thank you. Thanks very much. So we'll just let Alan leave the meeting, and we're going to call in Councillor Marshall back in before we start up again. Consider the second one, which is Annan Bowling Club. Welcome back, Sean. We'll just do a wee sound check to make sure that you can hear us before Jamie comes in.
Yeah, I'm back in the room.
Bang on, so just for your information as well, that one's approved. Thank you.
So the application for Annan Bowling Club is to help them with the cost of reinstating, for health and safety reasons, a new rubber mat flooring in their changing area. Recommendations is obviously before members to consider the £1,000 towards the 1,500 overall cost, with me recommending that I would signpost them to the Annan sports grants, because we have funds available within that pot that organisation would be eligible to apply for.
Thanks very much for that, Jamie. Much appreciated. Open up to members in regards to this one. Councillor Brodie, Richard?
Yeah, I think it's another good local organisation to support, so I'd support the £1,000.
Thank you. Councillor Jimison. George?
Yeah, totally agree, and thanks, Jamie, for giving that advice as well, because if there's more pots of money we could spread the load, that definitely worthy of supporting.
Thanks very much for that, George. I suppose the only question is there a high likelihood of success? Last thing we want to see is an application or a project fail. High likelihood of success for the further application, do you think?
There's certainly sufficient funds within that, and it does meet the criteria. With the way the Annan Estill Sports Grants is, it is delegated authority for the officer, but what I do is best practice. I put any applications round active schools coordinators and ask for feedback as well. So yes, I would expect this, but it does come down to delegated authority from myself.
Excellent, thank you. I take that as an assurance. Members, good, we can take that. I think that we've approved that. I think Alan's gone, he's not coming back in, is he? So members, I have got further business, and it's predominantly around about agenda setting. So I'm going to take the same approach, if you don't mind. We do it in the committee. So what we do, we stop live streaming at this point in time, but we keep it recording if that's okay. So members, the official business is over and done with. Any other competent business we've got through agenda, and you're welcome to stage.